Hello there. If you are watching or listening today, you are about to experience an incredible conversation on this In the Business of Healthy Masculinity platform. Why? Because I'm bringing not only a friend, but an incredible leader, thinker, writer, and human being to this conversation today. Welcome, my friend Sahana. And I always love to try and do your surname. Chattopadhyay? Is that close?
That's close. That works.
But can you please introduce yourself, Sahana? Give the audience an overview of what you're doing right now in this moment. And please do also introduce yourself with your full, beautiful name. That would be wonderful.
Okay, I'm Sahana Chattopadhyay. I'm from India. I'm currently in Mumbai, but I hail from the eastern side of India, that is Kolkata. And why I'm specifying that is for a reason. In India, we are Bengalis, and Bengalis are known for being rebellious and radical and troublemakers and disruptors. So yes, I'm all of those, and I'm an unapologetic imperialism and fascism hater. So yeah, I'm out to disrupt the narrative of comfort that we have woven ourselves into, because we have accepted a certain kind of status quo as normal when it is not. So whether I write or speak or just live, I hope that I can bring disruption into that narrative, because it's a narrative. It's a human construct, or rather, let me say a man-made construct, very definitely man-made and very definitely white man-made. And I'm specifying that because we'll very soon go into toxic masculinity. Mm-hmm. And what is white man-made can be unmade by a global population of more than 8 billion of very, very wondrously differently colored people. Humans, non-humans, more than humans. Yeah? So I would say 3 cheers to disrupting the narratives. And we just saw an example of that in the New York mayoral election. So yeah, let's begin with that.
What a beautiful introduction. Sahana, thank you for joining me today. And also, I just want to give a little shout out to our mutual friend, Trina Casey, as we go exploring today, because for anyone that may have not heard it before, myself, Sahana, and Trina, almost prophetically, but for sure it wasn't just about the 3 of us, but we started intuitively a podcast back in July 2023, first of all called Hegemony Revealed, moving to Beyond Hegemony, because things are moving so damn quickly. And within literally 24 months, as you said, Sahana, before we jumped on, it's like the awareness and the narrative shifts, and the narrative awareness of who controls it, who dictates it, what's possible beyond them is completely open now. Like the field is completely and utterly open. It's uncomfortable. It's painful. It's full of possibility, but the veil is completely removed. And I feel it really does lend us well to the work you're doing and this conversation around what does healthy and unhealthy masculinity look and feel like in 2025. So what's popping up for you in the moment following Mamdani being elected, and also just that as a sort of disrupt into narratives, I guess, is a great place to start.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks for inviting me. It's always such a delight to speak with you, my friend. And I wish there were more people like you in the world. And I believe there are, because people are finding themselves too. Mm-hmm. Right? And we saw that in the election day before yesterday. And when I say that, so personally, it's almost, I don't live in New York. I've been there a total of 2 in my life. And but you know why it feels so close to us? Not merely because of anything to do with Indian origin or not. I would have cheered on just the same if he was from any other continent in the world. Never mind. I mean, it doesn't matter where he hails from. What is so critical in that whole move are, I would say, 4 things. He completely, and I posted about this briefly on LinkedIn in a commentary or post, he completely ripped apart the narrative of billionaires holding power, the oligarchic, plutocratic narrative. That was gone. He ripped apart the narrative of if you support Palestine and say the word genocide, you will commit political harakiri. He did not, which represented the voice of millions and millions of people in the world. So he had the moral courage, the integrity, and the empathy and solidarity to stand up for what he believes in. Third, all the money the billionaires threw at smearing and slandering him merely showed us the playbook of the billionaires so clearly that all over the world, it's not only Trump and his ilk, but all over the world, the oligarchic cartel, and they're connected, mind you. It's not in one country. They are a global cartel of, of billionaires, a handful. They are shaking in their boots because their narrative can be shredded by one person and the power of the people. Imagine this traveling across the globe. So I'm keeping all my fingers crossed and my hand on my heart that may this movement travel across the globe. It is not only a rise against the fascist, it is a very significant breakdown of the entire edifice of fascism. The narrative, the propaganda, the money, the power, the fear, the smearing, the slandering, and the completely unsayable word like genocide, holding people accountable, holding the political class accountable, all would have been considered political harakiri, has actually won him the election by such a huge margin that the right-wingers across the globe are momentarily shattered. They'll rise, the empire strikes back, but I think now people like us know the weak points. We were waiting for this, right?
100%. What a powerful, I'm literally buzzing as you share this, Sahana. And I also want to hold space for a moment, if I may, with the fact that left, right, up, down, inside out, these are also constructs, right? Whether you're left, you're right. And I think the point here for me that's really interesting, I want people that are listening or watching to capture, and what you just shared is, and I put a post out about this yesterday, the healthy masculinity that Mamdani models, driven, powerful, trying to build something, like all of that really positive masculine energy combined with listening, co-creation, love, belief, care, right? For me, what's most exciting alongside what you just described is we now have, and he does happen to have an identity, an intersectional identity of a Muslim man, a brown man in a Western situation, like the intersectionality that he has as an identity combined with his beliefs and how he models healthy masculinity. I don't think we've seen anything so bold on a public arena in a very, very long time. And particularly that opens the door to the other parts of your amazing work, which, this is in the business of healthy masculinity, right? And what I'm so excited to get you on is we're discussing the healthy masculinity part, but many business leaders will be watching and listening to this going, what do you mean white men? What do you mean like challenging billionaires? I've been conditioned all my life to try and be one of those one day. No. Stop that thinking. Stop that degenerative, colonial, fear-based thinking, right? There's an opportunity here, Sahana, right? Particularly for men that look like me, to reclaim their self-worth, to reclaim their humanity from a system that doesn't care about them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, when you used that word healthy masculinity, I loved that because very often the word toxic has been used in conjunction with masculinity, which kind of presumes not only negative connotation, but It negates the whole idea that masculinity and femininity is a social construct. No one is born with it. You're born into a certain sex, then you are gendered into a role. Gender is a social construct, and social construct has created, or let me say, imperialism and capitalism has created a notion of unhealthy masculinity. I don't like the word, like you, I don't like the word toxic, but unhealthy masculinity, which I have seen again and again and again and again in the corporate world that I inhabited for a very long time. Aggressiveness, passing off as the alpha behavior, rudeness, over competitiveness, so for strategic, I don't know what, and blah blah blah. So all the signs and all the uh, qualities that have been rewarded by the capitalistic imperialistic system have erased humanity out of men, because at one point only men were on the top, or were allowed to be on the top. Forget the witch hunting that was done, the witch hunting of women, forget that. Even so, what was done to the men? They had their empathy removed, they had their creativity killed, they had their love suppressed, they were oppressed into being a role in, or rather into playing a role that capitalism demanded of them, so that they could serve the system of capitalism for the capitalistic oligarchs at the top to gain more profit out of less. Can you beat a laborer into delivering 10 more bushels of corn or whatever, or 10 more bags of sugar? So the more you could be aggressive, the more you could torture, the more you could suppress, the more you could stretch out of those broken bodies, the better you were as a leader. And the same applied in the corporate world. Can you get this project completed by 5 men? Though, honestly, the project required 8.5. And I've seen this again and again and again in the name of cost cutting, in the name of bottom line, in the name of profit making, in the name of keeping the cost low for the customer. Hello, if the customer can't pay for this, they'll pay for something less. But there has to be mutual respect. Most importantly, respect for the people delivering the work. So what are project managers taught in the glorified MBA schools of Stanford and wherever? Get the most while you pay the least. That is smart business. Extract as much as you can. That is smart business. Get the Congolese out of their land so that you can mine it for, all the rare earth minerals that we need for our next iPhone and whatever. That is smart business. So what happens to the masculinity? Apparently, you have to become ruthless, aggressive, unkind, cruel, aggressive, if not outright, I don't know, completely inhumane. And this is generation after generation after generation. And then you hold up an icon of a leader that apparently people are supposed to emulate. Apparently youngsters are supposed to be wanting to become like Musk, you, Bezos, psychopaths, sociopaths. So you turn generations into psychopaths and sociopaths by your idea of success, by your idea of aggression, by your idea of what is successful masculinity, which is so very inhumane. And I remember writing about this maybe 5-6 years back when I wrote about facilitative leadership, not aggressive leadership. We need leaders who listen, who hold space, who learn to love, and also who can extend unconditional solidarity. Solidarity doesn't mean letting the lazy off the hook. Solidarity means being able to step into the other person's shoes and see where he or she is coming from. Of connecting, communicating. So that has been deliberately erased because capitalism fears nothing more than togetherness, collaboration, and community. It wants us isolated, it wants us atomized, it wants us fearful, and in this complete scarcity mindset, so that I hate you, you hate me, and then they will label it, and then they have to blame someone, right? So it's the migrant next door who's stealing your job, and it's the migrant upstairs who's stealing your bread, and never mind that you're writing off $16 billion in loan to some effing, sorry.
You're allowed to curse on this platform, Sahana.
And never mind what the military, and never mind what the MIS, the military, MIC, the military industrial complex is draining your money, your taxpayers' money, to bomb countries halfway around the world, so that the oil can flow back to the handful at the top, and you keep struggling for a food stamp. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Beautiful.
That was a rant.
It wasn't. But it wasn't what you've just offered in probably less than 3 minutes. An incredible gift, particularly to those men that may be watching or listening to us, Sahana, who have just gone, "Oh my God, I just didn't see those interconnections," or I've seen or sensed into them before, but I felt something really uncomfortable in my body, and I've been so conditioned to live above the neck, to believe in solely logic, that I've pushed away that feeling. I've pushed away that intuitive, that's really uncomfortable. I can see that. I can see as a leader, as a man with power in my system, that I should be creating spaces. I can hear my Muslim and Middle Eastern colleagues and even my black and brown and disabled colleagues saying, why aren't we talking about Gaza? But we shut down our office in Russia when they invaded Ukraine. Why are we operating and treating certain people one way and other people not? And I'm saying this as an invitation, right, Sahana, not to say you're a bad person. I'm saying it to say there's a reason why you're feeling that discomfort. There's a reason why you're not allowing yourself to sit in that discomfort for all of the reasons you just described, right?
Yeah. And Gary, and everywhere, it's not in the USA only. Capitalistic society wants us, each one of us, they don't see us as people, they don't see us as individuals, and they hate communities and collaboration. Those are like curse words to capitalism. I mean, everything is like capitalism. That is opposite of capitalism is connection, communication, conversation, community, communing, anything that brings and there's a whisper of togetherness, of connection, of solidarity, of radical love are an enemy of capitalism. Okay, so I'll just give a small example. It might seem disconnected, but perhaps it's not. Very recently, not just 3 days back, the Indian women's cricket team won the World Cup. Okay, and the first time ever for
Amazing.
the last, God knows, 70 years or wherever, as long as women's cricket has been played, it has always been Australia, England. Okay, we have never won the World Cup. This was the first time we did. Against the final was with South Africa. And why I'm bringing this up, each of those players, they came from such humble backgrounds. Someone's father was a vegetable seller. Someone's father was a carpenter who made the girl's first cricket bat when she was 5 himself, because they didn't have the money to buy cricket gear. And she would go and watch and play with the boys on the street. Like in India, gully cricket. Gully cricket is basically street lane cricket, where the kids of the block just come out on the streets and play. That's poor man's cricket, okay? And that's how she grew up, playing in the gullies. Gullies are narrow alleys and lanes, okay? And with her father's homemade bat. why I'm bringing this up is each one of them had a story of a father or a brother, and of course the whole family, but I'm specifically focusing on the men because each one of the girls there had someone backing them to the hilt. And not only because she was their daughter, but because it gave each of them a chance to break the mold of Indian society. And these girls have come from Indian villages where patriarchy is, I mean, no one knows anything beyond patriarchy. So it's not even seen as patriarchy because that is it. So you only label patriarchy when you see patriarchy. They don't see. It's like a fish doesn't see water. It's like that there, where a girl is married off at 15, 16, the moment they have their periods. For them to have these girls playing and then winning. So the captain of the team, who is 36 now, this was her last game, I think. She was her farewell to cricket, and what a farewell. You know what? She just ran to her father and he picked her up like he used to do when she was 8 and 6, though she's 36. Okay. So
Amazing.
that masculinity, I'm so very glad when I saw all of those pictures of fathers dancing with that World Cup cup on their head, who was a vegetable seller outside on a street on his little trolley selling vegetables door to door. They're all very poor from villages. Most of them can't speak English. Most of them were completely bamboozled by all the aura of the city and all of that. But each one of them, each one demonstrated the kind of loving masculinity that is inherently there in men, that is inherently there in each one of us, unless it is ironed out forcefully by society.
It's so relevant, Sahana. It's such a beautiful thing. I wasn't aware of that. So congratulations to the Indian women's cricket team. How amazing. But I love that storytelling, Sahana, because it brings together again that piece. You speak about this so powerfully. And I want to bring this up as well, is we are all a mix of the feminine and masculine energies, right? Now, as you well know from my own journey over the last decade, I was so over-indexed on fear, after being bullied as a kid, not feeling I could bring it up because of societal conditioning to say those feelings you're feeling, stuff them down, you're not allowed to have them. That's a sign of weakness. All of this patriarchal nonsense.
Yeah.
And the freedom, honestly, Sahana, the freedom I felt because of being around you, Trina, the crew at Possible Futures, my friends, my family, like the more we have that community that you spoke about inside workplaces and outside, this is the rub. It gets you better outcomes, right?
Yeah.
This is the maddening thing for me in a world that's happy to be getting by with 21% global engagement or some nonsense. Like 80% of a human being's potential is wasted every day because, as you say, the machine is like, it doesn't matter how many bodies are being wasted, what we're getting out of it. We're just extracting at the maximum quickest rate possible. Even if we're leaving 80% on the table.
Absolutely. And then, these, because I come from the corporate world too, I used to wonder. So at one point, when you're in the corporate journey, especially when you're embedded in it and you rise to a leadership role, I've been called up often enough. You have these, your performance appraisals, right? Reviews. Oh, goodness. And initially, you take it so seriously. Initially, for the first 5 years, you take it seriously. And one consistent review I would get was, Sahana, you're a great leader. The team loves you, but you know what? You have to be more assertive. You have to be more assertive to get the most out of your team. And I could never understand that. And I would actually come back and sit with my team and discuss, this is what I've received. What do you want me to be? I would actually tell them. I mean, what do you think, what would help me to be assertive? And they were like, you know what? XYZ is rude, so they want you to be rude like him. That is supposed to be assertive. And there were people and because I joined the corporate world late, there were people in my team who had been in the corporate world for a longer time, and they knew the the lingo of the game, and I didn't. And I was like, what do they want me to be? And so as I saw that, I saw how they condition people to being a certain way so that they can get the jobs of 3 people done by 1 in the name of performance appraisal, then a bonus and a raise and a hike and a promotion and something or the other, some carrot and stick, some carrot and stick. That's how it goes, right? And then there will be this all ubiquitous Gallup's poll, engagement survey. I'm like, what the fuck? If you just spoke to people nicely, treated human beings as human beings, treated a new mother as a new mother, people would pull together and give your life for the organization. Because organizations, and this is something I've written about often enough, lately I've stopped because I'm kind of sick of the current state of organizations, but organizations have immense power to change things because they're already a body, a community of people who have come together for certain purposes. They already are, whether it is 200 or 2000 or 5000. They already are a group of people in a place, whether online or offline, but under a certain umbrella banner, doing certain things. Can those certain things not be achieved differently? Can an organization not be led consciously? And I'm not talking of the whole conscious capitalism movement. There is nothing called conscious capitalism. Okay, let's get rid of that myth that went on for a long time. There were some good ideas in the myth. Maybe we can cherry pick the ideas, not throw the baby out with the bathwater. But the whole construct was based on still that whole profit game. But what I'm saying is, people are forced to become who they are not, to stay in this game, which is a completely redundant and unnecessary in a world verging on collapse due to our extraction, exploitation, and exclusion. And all of this is linked. So the more we have to extract, or rather the more the oligarchic class, cartel, rather, have to extract, the more they have to be brutal, because only through brutalization can they force the lines below to do what they want us to do. So the more they brutalize us, we brutalize, and the brutality is then passed down the chain like a never-ending. This is the toxic river that flows down. So if we refuse to accept the toxicity, yes, it will be at some cost. I'm sure Mamdani knew what would be the cost. I'm sure he knew the risk of not being elected because of his steadfast commitment to truth. And he chose to take the risk.
It's so potent for this platform, because you're really speaking brilliantly to the point of this platform, why it really came into being in its current iteration, Sahana, which is in the business of health masculinity. I truly believe, and you're speaking to it so directly, these bodies of people, these communities, whether they are connected communities or just a workforce in its current state, we have got organizations that are up to 120,000 large. Imagine a situation where you've got that hierarchy.
Yeah.
That actually suddenly you plonk in some healthy masculinity at the top of Pfizer, at the top of GlaxoSmithKline, at the top of PwC, right? So instead of just being all about extracting the maximum value, laying off this, I've got to keep repeating this one. I don't know if you heard about Novo Nordisk, the Novo Nordisk,
I know the company.
They've laid off 10% of their workforce, right?
And that's happening in India too.
Despite making 8.7 billion in profits after all costs for the first half, they're laying off 10% of their staff to just save 1.3 billion. So so that's a degenerative, unhealthy masculine mindset, and it doesn't have to be that way, as you're so beautifully speaking to. Like we have got the choice to change. And that's why this
Yeah.
conversation is so important. We don't have to keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah. And the higher you are, or rather, I believe there will always be natural hierarchy.
Sure,
what I know, a 10-year-old won't know. So that natural hierarchy will exist. A natural organizing structure will always emerge out of experience, out of flow, out of expertise, out of all kinds of things. And that is fluid, that is flowing, and that will continue. And that's how we will keep organizing. Someone will take the lead, someone will step up, then others will step up, and so on and so forth. That's a ripple effect, right? Not everyone can be at the top. And when I say top, it is not a metaphorically vertical top. When I say top, I mean people who step up first. There will always be certain kinds of people who will step up first. Then the rest will step up and step in, right? So that's the kind of hierarchy that will always exist, and that's a good hierarchy. That's a natural hierarchy, and that's a natural systems formation. So what happens is when we have organizations and the leaders at the top who dare to take a stand and say that, you know what, I'm okay to let my share prices drop, but I'm not okay to let the ethos of my organization drop. How many shareholders can you please? Capital will run the moment you make one loss. Okay. Right now, Nvidia has a market cap, I believe, of 5 trillion, which is larger than the economy of India. And India's population is 1.4 billion. Okay. And that's one company, one microchip GPU making company. Now, the entire AI thing, that entire band of AI bandwagon owns, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, some 36 or 38% of the NASDAQ and NYSE, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. My numbers might be a little mixed up, but more or less. Imagine one of those companies failing. It will be a global catastrophe because everyone is rushing after kind of, I'm not against AI per se, as long as it is used mindfully.
Yes. Yep.
And as long as it is used in the service of life. I'm not even saying humanity, life. Life in totality. I'm not against it. But this blind rush to automate everything will continue, because the capitalist oligarchic class are afraid of people. They're afraid that people can rise and overtake them, because we are many, they are few. I keep saying this. So they want to do things in such a way, and sooner, that will get rid of the human element in everything. But I believe what they're missing out on is, after this 5 years of this hype, 5 years down the line, I'm not a forecaster. I don't predict, but just my sense says that after this hype of AI crashes, which it will, I've been trying it, and I've actually deep dived into it. I'm also deliberately doing a course on it to understand it better. Once you deep dive into it, you see it has potentials, of course. See, a tablet or a laptop or an internet always has potentials. How you use it is what makes it different. Like a paintbrush, and paint had potentials, right? A kid paints with a brush, Picasso painted with a brush. So what differentiates you and me from Picasso? We all had paint and brush. Why couldn't we all be Picassos? Similarly, how you use AI is what will differentiate you and me, or anyone who uses it. But if you're going to use it to decimate half the planet, or decimate jobs just to automate everything, after 5 years down the line, you'll have products that no one wants. Trust you me. No one will want AI written books. No one will want AI written poetry. No one will want AI generated porn videos, no matter how sleek and glossy and whatever they are, and deep fakes. But what will happen is they will drench the world in so much of nonsensical content and product and unwanted stuff that another cycle of pushing consumers to buy stuff they don't want, absolutely don't want, will begin. So we'll go back to the time when, the spinning jenny and the steam engine started producing what do you call it? Started manufacturing clothes faster. So the whole advertising thing had to come into place to sell more stuff than people wanted. In the process, we are going to decimate the planet by extracting stuff to create stuff that no one wants. Then you have a planet of stuff without clean water, without clean air, without electricity, without food, and the handful at the top will escape, run away to their bunkers to spend the rest of their lives, like that movie, Never Look Up, or whatever that movie, I forget the name. Yeah. Something like that. So what is happening is, it's like, you give a tool in the wrong hand, like you give a kid a gun, he might shoot anyone. Not that grown men don't shoot anyone, but in fact, grown men shoot anyone and everyone they please. But what I'm saying is, when you give a tool to people without the power of discernment, without ethical values, without empathy, without love, without connection to themselves, forget the world. They're disconnected human beings with power and money that a system has fed them. And basically psychopathic people who have extracted on the broken backs of people are running a system to break more backs and the system itself.
This is a really good. Thank you for sharing, Sahana. I want to share a book that I've read recently for anyone that's listening or watching, and it's called Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates.
It's beautiful.
Have you read it, Shahana?
It's beautiful.
It's a stunning book which literally speaks to what Sahana just shared, which is it's basically a letter from the author to his son, apologizing for what he's going to experience as he grows up, because this is what it's like for black bodies. But it's not written in a way. It is powerful, it's poignant, it's upsetting, but it's written in a way that really wakes up the reader to the reality of the system for black bodies in the world.
Yeah.
And I just thought, but it's written so beautifully, so poetically.
Yes.
And I just think it really models, in an extreme example, this author just again embodies the love, care for his family, for his community, for the world, but doesn't run away from the difficulty and the discomfort, the realities of that world. That for me is an example of that leadership you spoke about, Sahana. The ability to bring that strength, that power, that drive to make things better, but also listen, love, care, being community as you describe. I just think it's just amazing. It's amazing to hear you speak, Sahana, and thank you for the work you're doing as well.
Thank you. And I think it's, when people see the connections, most importantly, they see their own connection, or rather they are connected to themselves. If you love yourself, truly deeply love yourself, you can't not love anyone. I mean, you can't not love others. You can't. I mean, you can't hate outside and love inside, if that makes sense.
100% does.
100% you can't.
Does. There's actually... sorry, Sahana.
No, I was just saying this radical love. When I say love, I'm not only talking of romantic love. I'm saying radical love. Love that is... love, let's say, that is truly blind. When I say truly blind, I mean color blind, race blind, religion blind, gender blind, boundary blind, and blind to the impossible that the empire lays down, because the empire wants you to believe this is not possible. We can't do it. It is hopeless. We are too We are just individuals. What can we do? They are the billionaires. They have the cartel. They have the money. They have the military. They have the ICE, and they have the FBI and the CIAs. What can we do? So that hopelessness is a deliberate injection being fed to the downstream, narrative to keep us constantly scrambling only for ourselves. Then, because, okay, so if I have to be aggressive to hoard up 1 million so that I can ensure my family lives a good life and I lead a good life, I'll do that, because who knows what happens tomorrow. But the point is, what happens tomorrow will happen in spite of my millions, and unless we are together, we are going to be annihilated individually, and it won't be pleasant. And I believe healthy masculinity recognizes this. There is a reason Mamdani went door to door talking to the most ordinary people. There is a reason that people across the spectrum, irrespective of caste and race and religion and creed, stepped out for him. Not because of his religion, not because of his color, but because of what he said, the narrative the vision that he held up, the vision of what we can achieve, not him, and not the billionaire sitting on the top, but what collectively we can achieve. And I think this feeling of connectedness, if it comes into an organization, then a CEO or a leader or a team leader or a project manager will not think of this success of the project as my achievement. It will be, what can we achieve? And the moment he or she says that, the team will step up. But not say it like not use it like how should I say, like a hook. Oh, let me just use these nice words and get the work done. Yeah. No. Authenticity you cannot not be authentic and expect to be believed. People are smart.
And this really, as we look to wrap up today, Sahana, this really speaks to me, and I know you've written extensively around this. My hypothesis, and it's been my experience, is healthier masculinity is more embodied, i.e. you're connecting head, heart, gut in a healthy way, which allows you to experience and embody and lead with that more broad range of feminine and masculine emotions and energies. Yeah. Unhealthy masculinity is generally fear-based. Yeah. It's control-based. Yeah. It's disembodied.
Yeah. And that's where bullies come from. I mean, they are so scared that they have to show their power by bullying someone younger or weaker or smaller than them. But no one steps up and says, hey, you know what? I mean, someone might slap him for bullying, someone might beat him for bullying, or someone might punish him for being a bully, but no one steps up and extends that love and say, hey, let's have a conversation. Why are you hurting inside? What is making you hurt someone else? So what is happening to you inside? Let's talk about that. No?
Sahana, I'm going to just let people, those who might be listening on the podcast, so pluriversalplanet.in, pluriversalplanet, one word.in. Do go and follow Sahana, subscribe to her Substack at Sahana, Sahana 2802.substack.com. All of these links will be in the show notes of the podcast when this goes out in a few weeks' time. Sahana, you're a gift. I just want to say I'm so grateful to have got to know you the last few years. You are, and I'm actually, if I may say publicly, I appreciate the loving warrior woman that you are, and all the love that you're bringing to the world, and the real desire for bringing this local. Yeah, but really, I really mean it, and I want people to understand. Like, just join the dots of our conversation. You look at the big. You're able to hold that big polymathic, big picture, how everything's interconnected, and bring it right back to the point, which is we've got to do that inner work. Those two things, that massive macro and that tiny inner micro, are deeply connected, and you embody that so well.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you so much.
Any final word? I'd love for you to leave some final words or invitations for our listeners, or or viewers as we go into the rest of our days as they hear this?
I would say just first, love yourself so deeply that you cannot hate anyone else.
I think that will be the mic drop, everyone. Thank you, Sahana, for joining me. Take care, everybody.